And now time for the second semi-final of women's singles in Sweden Open Championships 2016. First runner, representing Turkey, Melek.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2016 ITTF World Tour Swedish Open, a major series on the World Tour. I'm your commentator, Adam Bobrow, coming to you live from Stockholm, Sweden. We're getting into the second women's singles semifinal. Right there on screen is Turkey's own Melek. And next to her, short pitch chopper from Germany, Ying. It is the opposite way of it is on the screen, just so you know. On the left, Ying. And our umpire for this match, Diana Abdullah from Malaysia. Assistant umpire from Russia, Ksenia Tulenkova. So they will be officiating to make sure that everything happens properly here and there's no advantage to either player. There's coach and former player Hokai in the corner of Melek. Was with her yesterday. Melek, 27 years old, was 27th in the world at the time seedings were made for this tournament. Has since then moved up to world rank number 18 after winning the European Championships. A very impressive feat when you think about being 27 in the world rankings. But despite being 27 years old, Melek's opponent has 6 years experience on her. 33-year-old world rank number 8, Ying. Ying has had an impressive few years in table tennis, gets many balls back on the table, but also is quite dangerous in her forehand loop and even her backhand punch. This is one of the many advantages of having short pips on the backhand side of your racket as a modern chopper. In the women's game especially, it's a pretty good mix. It almost feels like there are more choppers with short pips in the top 100 in the world than long pips, the traditional chopping game. This is something that would be worth analyzing and looking through, getting a statistic on. So with the soothing cold play, the play will be warming up right now for these two. Tell you a little bit about how these players got here. Let's start with Ying because she's on screen right now. Started off beating defensive young player from Sweden, Linda Bergström, 4-0. After that, another 4-0 victory over the top player from Sweden, top Swedish-born player anyway, Matilda Ekholm. And they're going to request a ball change. Ying saying the ball's wiggling in their warm-up. Now this is something that I hope will be improved. As the 40-plus balls, there are many, I would say it's still just a few years in the making after the size of the ball has increased. Maybe half a millimeter in its diameter. There have been a lot of ball breakages and inconsistencies. There's Coach Jess Shep, also a defensive player in her day, who's in the corner for Ying. I was just telling you, beat Matilda Ekholm, the pride of women's table tennis for Sweden. And actually, Matilda Ekholm's improved a lot against choppers, having played with Tatiana Bilenko on a team in the leagues. But still, Ying's defensive game quite different. In a 4-0 victory, then moved on to beat Yui Hamamoto of Japan. 4-0, and then in the last round, Ying beat Miyu Kato 4-0 as well. So Ying has not dropped a single game so far this tournament in any of her matches. Melek, on the other hand, beating Marie Migaud from France, 4-1. So dropped a game, and then 4-2 over Yang Xiaoxin of Monaco, and 4-1 over Kyoka Kato, the player from Japan who beat Mima Ito. In the last round, it was Junji Yi, 4-3, 11-6 in the 7th game. Had a chance to see that live yesterday. This will be a best of 7. Ying starting with the serve. Now, Melek has short pips on the backhand side of her racket, the black side. We'll see how she uses that. More likely over the table in the touch play.
Love 2.
But even the service, heavy spin and deceptively heavy spin. First point for Melek on her serve. Now head-to-head, these two have played once before, and Melek was the winner. It was this year at the European Championships, where Melek went undefeated.
3-1.
Yesterday, Melek's footwork was very fast, quick strokes off the bounce. Now, fast footwork is quite important against a defender to make sure you're in the right position at all times. Defender's going to move you around the table, send the ball to very different parts on the chops, and even in the pushing game.
4-1.
Now, not only the spin on the ball, but also the trajectory. Choppers have different heights. They vary up, let's say, their chops quite differently from player to player. So Ying has her own unique style of chopping out here. You have to wonder if she was forced into that shot, tries floating it back with nearly no spin. Or if she was just trying to keep it lower and float it back so that Melek would overlift the next ball and hit it out. Interesting combination. The ball sits up for a bit. Type of shot that Ying would turn and just crush with her forehand, usually go for the attack, but instead tries to chop it heavily. A little bit off the top of the net to help out Melek, and suddenly it's tied up at 4 points each. Very calm out there. Ying has recovered some big shots. Probably the hardest forehand shot we saw from Melek so far in this match. Came right back quickly from Ying. Two powerful shots in a row, and Ying knows that's up and out, turns her back to the table. Thinking Melek's going to have to force Ying to really play more, I'd say, desperately, to be running around in and out, side to side. This is one way to do it. Spin the ball patiently to different parts of the table, earn a higher one, and then go for the more flat attack. Again, you can hear that there's less spin on the ball. The high-pitched cracking sound of the vibrations going through to the wood of the blade.
5-7.
At the second towel break of the game, I talk about tactically bringing Ying into the table, trying to play it deep afterwards, but it's easier said than done. Ying stays quite close to the table in her chops.
Black, 5-7.
Jeshep, very good at doing that as well. German women's coach. See how close to the table Ying was? She actually contacted the table with the racket in the second shot of that rally for her. Counterattacks and topspin shots, a little bit off the top of the net for Melek to help her out, but still, Ying starting to see some variation in the game. Only on a few occasions have we seen the topspin shot come back, and they still don't feel like the Ying attacks. When she decides to attack, it changes the game completely. hooking chop there, coming around the outside of the ball, bending it into the body of Melek to mix it up. Because it's deep on the table and it's not too high, the variation in spin is really going to force Melek to read it carefully, maybe even slow down her shot to make sure she spins it properly.
7-9.
Some frustration there from Ying. Have to wonder if that's the loud baby cry. Maybe it's a baby who loves Melek, and after Melek lost the last point, was just crying outrageously, but is now quieted down since Melek won the point.
7-10.
Baby appears to be quite happy. 3 game points for Melek. Most versatile point of the game so far, the best one we've seen yet. Melek really testing Ying. Ying getting some counterattacks in, some fast shots. The 1 game point saved for the German chopper. Will not come down. The top of the racket and out. 11-8. Melek of Turkey takes the first, and we'll be back for game 2. Stay right here. Game 2 coming up after the short break.
Första set som han Ying har förlorat här i sång. Han har gått fram med 4-0 i samtliga matcher. Vem är Melek då? Ja, hon är 27 år och rankad 27 i världen i sång. Här sida till 8-delen, alltså bland de 16. Så där har hon alltså överträffat förväntningarna. Hon har tagit första set på en eventuell final.
Game, pull to serve, level.
Back for game number 2. Melek of Turkey in blue starting off with the serve at the bottom of the screen. Good use of topspin from Melek, but finally getting back into the defensive game against the heavy underspin. Has trouble readjusting. It's interesting from the camera angle we started off with, how different the chops appear in their height. This camera angle right here just gives you a different perspective for how high the ball is sitting. And while this camera angle from up high will give you a nice sense of the court and spatial awareness, sometimes these lower shots also, you can really see how fast the ball is moving and how low to the net it is. Despite a very low to the net last chop from Ying, one sits up a little bit high, allowing Melek the power. But still, defensive players are used to power coming at them. Placement is crucial. Melek's going to have to find the middle of Ying to get an uncomfortable shot. That first shot was the middle, but it came back well. Second shot right on the body, and it comes back with light spin. I think the timing was right for Melek to go for that wide inside-out forehand. Just misses the shot. Ying, quick to improvise, gets it back, still deep on the table with little rotation. Trying to vary up the chops. First one heavy, second one a floater. Less spin. That was the first point for Melek this game. fast shot into the body. Melek showed this confidence yesterday in her quarterfinal match. Smart play brings Ying back into the table, and while she's close to the table, takes the powerful shot. Every shot in that rally for me by Melek was a very wise decision and well executed. She's a thinking player who's very aware of her tactics, her plan. And this time too, the ball played to the middle, but so quick to turn. This is why agility and being fast on your feet, staying loose, is very important. Even in that replay, Melek made it look easy, but that was slow motion.
5-4.
Again, smart play, light topspin, short to the forehand side, into the inverted rubber. If it's far enough to the forehand side, it's unlikely that Ying is going to get her short pips in. It's going to be a more familiar ball for Melek. Oh, back edge, a break.
5-6.
And Ying making it a 1-point game. This is how the game goes. And after enough points are played, typically it tends to balance out. Table tennis karma, as I like to say.
All.
So with the second towel break of the game, it's tied back up. I think throughout this match, we're going to see some real changes in Ying's game. Wouldn't be surprised to see some more attacks. Some heavy chops, some deep floaters, and then coming back into the table, trying to get the forehand into play. Despite the soft touch of Melek, the ball left up high just a little bit. And Ying near the table. Still trying to play it to the middle. A little bit less margin for error. Let service, they're gonna play that again.
6-7.
Even though you could hear it, Melek doing the right thing to keep playing until either both players agree or the umpires call it. Strong touch from Melek throughout that point, not leaving any opportunities for Ying to really attack. Ying gets so many balls back, Melek tries to play it to the short side. It's easy to say that patience is a virtue against the defender, but you still have to be looking for opportunities to finish the point. So, like anything else, a balancing act. So impressive to me, the touch of Melek on these short shots over the table. Can't think of many times that she's dumped it into the net, and yet she hasn't left it high enough for Ying to attack. I don't think a single point this match so far has been attacked by Ying near the table. Still relatively early in the match, a best of 7. But tying it up at 1-1 for Ying could really change the outcome of this match. tough one for Melek. She gets a higher ball, but it's deep on the table. She knows if she goes cross court, Han Ying's ready to bring it back one more time. Instead of playing it out to the forehand, tries to play it to the middle, right onto the body.
Black. 8-9. Black. 8-9.
This is interesting. 2 serves in a row that the either umpire or assistant umpire felt hit the top of the net that the players didn't notice.
10-8.
And now 2 game points for Han Ying. She's got 2 serves right here. You might recall in the first few points of the game, Han Ying with an outright point on her service. The third towel break, only Melek using the towel. Little help off the top of the net, completely throws the rhythm. That was probably the most clear demonstration of how much hitting the top of the net can change the rhythm for a player. Han Ying's timing is actually involves her going down to the ground rather than making a traditional forehand chop. Smart placement right down the line. Melek right there. I mean, this shot, it's an inch to the left, is off the table, and it's game to Han Ying. And short, too. Really has to spin that ball confidently low over the net. And now Melek has a game point. I think I might have missed something quickly. 2 game points were saved. And that's 3 in a row for Melek. It's a big point for Han Ying. You can imagine how frustrated she'd be to lose 4 straight points after having a chance. 2 game points at 10-8. Still a ways to go. The first player to be leading by 2 will win this game. Finally, a shot, a flat hit to the short side of the table, and it takes 2 into the body before she can get 1 shot wide enough to finish the point. Han Ying taking that backhand from just on the right side of her right leg. Very uncomfortable shot. Sometimes you'll see, I guess Xu Xin's done something like that on 1 foot, a chop with a side swiping motion. Game point back to Melek. A heavy chop again. These points really matter for Han Ying. She's getting fired up. Every player has a different way of expressing themselves. Some more vocal than others. Sakura Mori in the house. Whenever she is, you know, no matter what table she's on, you can hear when she's playing. Tied up, 3rd deuce point. This is smart use of topspin. Han Ying deep on the table. And she's hitting it from a little bit closer. We still haven't seen the really aggressive forehand attacks, but just enough pressure that when Melek tries to take it off the bounce, she can't keep it down to the short side of the table. Look at this rally. 5 pushes in a row before the attacks of Melek come back into play. And it's an all-out topspin battle from there. Clear frustration from Han Ying. think she wasn't happy with her footwork on that one. Plays the ball from out in front a little bit wide on the forehand. Finally a shot to win it again. The quality of point just keeps getting better. This really shows, you know, there are many different ways to react to pressure, and the sign of a true champion. I mean, this can be said about many players. Zhang Jike, known for this throughout his career, rising to the occasion when the pressure was on. Waldner as well. I say that as he's been here throughout the tournament. The homeland of the legend, the Mozart of table tennis. And there it is, the first backhand attack. Han Ying uses the short pips wisely from at the table. It's the most aggressive shot we've seen from her to tie it back up for the 5th deuce point this game. But back to pressure. When the pressure builds, you can either thrive and play the best play of your life, play the same as normal, or crumble under pressure. Both of these players seem to be thriving under pressure.
15-14.
Game point back to Han Ying. Feels like a long time ago that it was 10-8. Slight side spin adds to the to that shot there, and the chop with a little bit less underspin than before. And Melek overlifts. Han Ying redeems herself to win 16 points to 14 and tie it up at 1 game each. We'll be back for game 3 to see who takes the lead after this short break.
Den är Han Ying då. Jo, hon är 33 år och rankad 8 i världen. I sock här är hon andra sidan, finalsidan. Hennes väg fram till semifinalen har först varit 2 svenskor, Linda Bergström, sedan Matilda Ekholm i andra omgången. I tredje omgången slog hon Hamamoto, Japan, och i kvarten en annan japanska, Kato.
Players come back for game 3. Han Ying with a little bit of momentum after taking a very tough fought battle in game 2, starting off with the serve. Han Ying has definitely found a friend in side spin. 2 of those chops with the backhand coming around the outside of the ball, really bending it, forcing Melek to not get too comfortable, to change and recalibrate. Again, the unpredictability factor, breaking rhythm. Now, one of the long-lasting effects of these side spin chops is that the more conventional chops, I guess, are less comfortable because you've been mixing it up, forcing a player to hit different shots, guessing a little bit more. Attempted side spin to the short side of the table, just wide. And even with the ball sitting up a bit, when it's got heavy underspin on it, it's tough to power through. bit into the body on the backhand side, and it pays off for Melek. Wow, that one was so quick. From the camera angle, you could barely see it come up. Power shot again, we'll see it from a little lower angle. No question about that. Also no chance for it to be reached. Another ball sits up a little bit high, but this one's out in front. It's always very difficult to lift something out in front of you. Feel free to try that with any object. If you have a chair nearby, try holding your arms out at full extension and lifting the chair. Good luck. This is an interesting shot selection from Ying with the ball that low under the table. Might expect her to pop it up and try to put some topspin on it, so at least it drives her opponent away from the net. She goes for a chop. That ball might have come back over the net if it had landed on the table. Probably the heaviest topspin shot we've seen yet from Ying. A bit more aggression in near the table. More calm play. This is how Ying looked at the start of this match. It's tough to describe it as relaxing, but it definitely appears that on several of these shots, Ying is just in the right place. Smooth strokes. With proper placement, you can secure, I guess, staying in the point quite well. Touch, control from Ying. Ball's broken. Could hear it on the bounce. The record continues.
5 all. 5 all.
So in game one, Melek, she won the first game of this match. Last game, very close, 16-14 for Ying, but not for lack of opportunities for Melek. Several game points. A little bit off the top of the net, and Melek takes the point. Was just thinking about the balance factor between spin and forward drive. Melek is confident to vary it up. I'd say some combination of the two, from softer spinny shots to a bit more of a drive, but still not outright. Aggressive winner attempts. The second lucky point, Ying. Definitely frustrated.
Play.
And Ying warned to play after setting her racket down and walking away from the table. It is not a timeout, and it is not a towel break. wouldn't be surprised if there's another warning if Han Ying walks away from the table quite so far between points.
6-10.
I need to see that last shot again. I'm wondering if that was 3 in a row. Let's see one more time here. Just seemed like Han Ying was a bit caught off guard by the bounce at the back of the table. Now 4 game points for Melek. Beautiful block. Love to see what side of the racket is used for this. I didn't see a twiddle in there. Very confident block with short pips, and it is a little bit of a punch to stay on top of the ball. One of my favorite Jusei hook shots of all time is when he twiddled the racket and blocked it back, the inverted rubber.
10-8.
Now the body language that we saw from Han Ying before, she was clearly quite disappointed, but wins 2 points and forces a timeout on the side of Melek from coach He Kai.
Beställningen 10-8. Väljer Melek att ta ut sin timeout. Det kanske är ett bra läge här.
Now at the international level that He Kai has played in the past, playing against a chopper, definitely has the experience. If you were watching yesterday, you might remember that I mentioned I hit with coach He Kai as he was chopping with his cell phone against me. That was a moment in time we just saw from the audience. Can't tell you too much about from experience about what was going on. I have my ideas, but regardless, players doing what they can. We've got a long day of intense matches ahead. The first match of the day went 7 games, and the way this one's going, it could very much be the same. So we'll see what was discussed on the timeout, but Melek comes back with a strong serve here, could set it up well. And a safe start with the serve and a patient rally, but finally the attempted backhand punch. And it is a no-go for Melek. 3 game points saved by Germany's Han Ying. And there it is, early in the point while she's near the table. Melek takes advantage and times it right. The big shot pays off. It's a 2-1 lead for Turkey's Melek, and we'll be back for game 4 after this short break.
Melek räddade ut ena, tog hem tredje set med 11-9 och orsakade därmed Han Yings andra setförlust i hela denna turnering. Men det kan ju bero på att det blir tuffare ju längre man går i en turnering. Vad vet jag, det låter ju rimligt. 2-1 Melek. Och vän av klockan säger att hon är 11:40, vilket innebär att vi ligger just nu 10 minuter efter i tidsschemat. Och mer efter kommer att ligga. Mattias Karlsson ska ju upp i nästa match med herrarnas semifinal. Skulle ha börjat 11:30. Svårt att säga, beror på hur lång den här matchen blir. Men strax efter 12 är min, som man brukar säga, kvalificerad gissning. 5/12 säger jag.
We are back for game 4. Melek of Turkey in blue starting off with the serve leading 2 games to 1.
Love 1.
Now on several occasions toward the end of last game, Melek did get some breaks off the top of the net. Han Ying definitely showing some resilience to come back, saving 3 game points. It's going to be a difficult shot every time. Heavy chop deep on the table. The Again, it's that fine balance of patience, but looking for the opportunity to take advantage of a ball that's a little bit more killable, a little bit more attackable. That's not the one. Melek played it wisely when she got the first big attack in and earned the counterattack back. She got the topspin shot back. She played it early off the bounce from Ying. You'll see more confidence against topspin. Stroke again more familiar. Ball broken again. This is interesting. So I guess the assistant umpire thought she heard a crack in the ball, or maybe thought she saw one of the players trying to call for a let for a broken ball. Tough to know. Either way, called it. Edge of the table, but again, high-risk shots off the bounce. Melek much more comfortable with the timing of the shot coming in with topspin. This is typical of most attacking players. Good in the topspin to topspin rally. This isn't the first time we've seen Ying try to get the ball from below the table after a net ball. At least this time it looked more like it was going to be a topspin shot. We've even seen Ying have a snake from under the table. A little bit of side spin added on with some after motion. Girl in the front row and using binoculars. Parents have to step in on that. Unless she's trying to read the tags of the shirts of the players, in which case, binocular on.
Black, 4-2.
Still, the breaks haven't started coming back for Ying. There's been a bit of imbalance in the luck. There, the mom's telling the daughter about the binoculars in the back. All right, the backhand serve with the inverted rubber from Ying. Well played this time. The topspin a little bit higher risk to the short side of the table. Melek has been tested on the forehand side with those topspin shots time and time again, and has probably definitely won a majority in my mind of those points. Oh, a breathtaking exchange in the middle of this rally, which goes on for quite some time after. The entire crowd, ooh, and I had to hold my breath watching this. So fast with both players near the table, keeping it on, rackets up. And the smile of Melek at the end says it all. What are you gonna do?
7-3.
Kicking topspin into the body on the backhand side of the table. Ying continues to pull ahead. So far, this is the most dominant game, but we've seen comebacks last game. And not just last game, there have been comebacks throughout. The backhand punch off the short pitch side of the racket from Melek. We haven't seen too many backhand attacks from her. It's going to be a more comfortable shot when topspin is coming in. But a lot of kick deep on the table. The high arcing heavy topspin forehand of Ying. A threat from off the table. Only in this game does it feel like it's really starting to get used more aggressively. Before they were a little bit lower topspin, more fishing shots, as opposed to real power loops from off the table. First shot comes back, but just way too close to the net, and Melek destroys the next ball. There's the power again. From this camera angle, both of those balls, the last shots, it's tough to tell if they could be coming back down on the table. And you can see they're nowhere near by the time they land. There it is. The first time we've seen Melek leave a ball high enough that Ying can come in and crush it from over the table. This is much more common in a match, attacker versus chopper, but Melek's touch has been so solid. Finally, just too high and well read and anticipated. Ying comes running into the table, now 4 game points. Game point saved by Melek. And counting. This wouldn't be the first time we've seen 2 game points. Many game points saved against Ying. 10-8, a familiar score from game 2 that ended up going 16-14. And a big shot from off the table. It's the aggressive topspin from Ying that pays off on several occasions throughout the game. But finally, game point, 11-8, and Ying ties it up at 2 games each. We'll see who takes the lead in game 5 right after this. You're watching the women's singles semifinals.
Ying är ju, om ingen har märkt det tidigare, en så kallad defensivspelare, men en modern defensivspelare med en bra offensiv också. Jag tror hon kommer bli ännu modernare här nu i 5:e set och öppna och gå på lite mer själv. Vi får väl se.
Players back for game 5. Ying at the bottom of the screen. Short pips chopper versus the short pips backhand attacker at the top of the screen. Melek from Turkey. Coming into this game, both players had scored exactly 44 points. But Han Ying, starting strong, takes her first 2 serves for points. So before the match started, talked to you a little bit about how consistent Han Ying's game is, how many balls she gets back on the table. That is typical of the defensive player, that's their specialty. But I feel like even relative to other choppers, Han Ying can really keep it on the table a long time. But tested here, a little bit of topspin comes in and Melek feels more comfortable powering through. Okay, the binocular girl in the front rooting for Han Ying. I was just thinking up until this point in the game so far, Melek has had more success when she plays the pushes early on and spins the first shot or two. Beautiful placement, the topspin shot racing out to the forehand side, takes advantage of Melek standing on the backhand corner. We haven't seen such an effective forehand fishing shot here. Bit of topspin, I guess a little bit more aggressive than a fish, but still not that aggressive forehand loop that won it for Han Ying at the end of the game last game. Very relatable IO from Han Ying as she misses that shot with not too much pressure. But there's some real pressure. Ball a little bit high over the table, the angle exploited. Melek rushing to take the shot while Han Ying still relatively close to the table. Well, it feels like Han Ying was dominating this game score-wise. It's only 1 point ahead. 6-5 for Han Ying. Little change of service. Short to the forehand side with top inside. Two nets in a row recovered and a backhand punch for Han Ying. What a way to finish that point. Absolute persistence throughout and just non-stop. Will not lie down, keeps getting the ball back on the table and uses the short pips here to finish the point, goes all in, stepping around the forehand corner for the backhand attack. And a 3-point lead for Han Ying. Since the beginning of this game, there hasn't been such a big lead by either player. Han Ying had that at the start of this game. In the last match of the day, Kasumi Ishikawa was down 2-3 and came back to win the last 2 games. Still an advantage to be up 3-2. Han Ying fighting for that advantage right now.
6-9.
Four game points for Han Ying. It's a tricky time for a coach coming in, a player about to lead 3-2.
10-7.
To make sure they don't get soft. This is actually true right now. The most difficult point of any game is game point, crossing the finish line. Most tightrope walkers, the most deaths happen by people falling off in the last 3 steps of the rope. And Han Ying focuses and gets to the end of the rope. And on the other side safely to get a 3-2 lead, but the match isn't over yet. Melek, the European champion, fighting to defend her record 1-0 against Han Ying, has her back against the ropes now. It's 2-3. We'll be back for game 6 after this short break.
Melek.
As time is called, the fans watch closely to see who will move on to the women's singles final to join Kasumi Ishikawa, the top seed. Is it going to be the European champion in blue, Melek? Or is it going to be Han Ying from Germany, leading 3-2 right now, 1 game away from taking it? Not quite sure what the sound was, but it was definitely a sound of surprise and slight frustration from Han Ying. Arguably an unforced error. There was some real pressure there. And the service receive of Han Ying was a trouble there. Melek disguises her serve well and earns the inside-out 3rd ball attack for the winner.
Love 3.
Very clear frustration here, start of the game for Han Ying. No timeout used yet. Often it's called with a 3-point differential. Seems like unless Coach Shep thinks she can change the outcome of this match, she's probably going to save her timeout for desperation in game 7. If it comes to that, I would say.
5 love.
Melek getting established early in the point is really keeping Han Ying from having any sense of predicting where the shot's going. These are just high-risk shots right now. Melek is making a high percentage of high-risk shots. That's a low-quality chop deep on the table. Still, she powers through it and hasn't dropped a point yet in game 6.
Love 7.
That was smart use of the short pips. Giving it back dead to Han Ying, no spin to work with. Finally, a shot missed by Melek. Oh, there's a strong lead on the side of the Turkish player in blue. I will say that 1-7, the most impressive comeback I've seen on the women's side of the game. Feng Tianwei, the Japan Open 2014, was down 1-7 and came back 10 points in a row. Big point for Melek to keep the momentum, regain it anyway, break that of her opponent. Well, that was a surprise.
3-8.
For someone who's been so successful in the touch game over the table, it bounces on her own side after contact. Ooh, the forehand smokes past on the forehand side cross court. On only a few occasions have we seen Han Ying go for such an aggressive attack near the table, and not an easy ball either. A solid opening loop, just sits up a little bit high, and Han Ying was right there and ready to close and counter. Close and counter. The second ball that's gone a little bit stray, right off the racket of Melek. If she had a timeout left, I'm pretty confident it would be used about now by the coach. Again, the top spin from off the table. Melek really has to move her feet. She's a little bit behind that. It's going to be tough for her to stay down and get on top of it. Reaching out in front. Just a little bit late, a little bit wide on the forehand. This comeback could be a reality. 0-7 down. Han Ying wins 7 out of the last 8 points. But how do you really feel? I think that's the question right now. Just off the top of the net and out. Still the point before you understand the frustration. Han Ying not pressured too much to miss the shot. Needs to keep up the momentum. There it is, topspin deep on the table. Throughout this rally, I'm thinking about how dangerous Han Ying is when she's close to the table, but uses the fishing shot with placement perfectly. Deep on the table, as comfortable as Melek is taking some of those shots off the bounce quickly. Those in-between half shots really rely on her touch. And now the last 2 serves this game we'll see in combination are Han Ying's. Well placed down the short side of the table. Melek with a game point to save what could be an outstanding comeback from Ying. We've seen tough matches. Mima Ito up 9-2 and 10-5 against Kyoka Kato. Still, Kato came back to win it. Back edge of the table for Melek, 11-9, the faintest of edges. The apology is there, but the point as well, and Melek takes the game. We are going to a 7th and deciding game. Once again, Sweden, the land of 7. It's where we're gonna be. Stockholm, Sweden 7, Triple S, game 7 right after this.
Karlsson ska upp så snart denna andra damsemifinal är till ända.
Back for game 7. Ying almost coming back from down 0-7 to 9-10 in the last game. But Melek escaped to be here. And the first point is a big point for the morale of Ying. Psychology out here. The confidence, the freedom. Now, freedom is an interesting word. As far as the looseness out here and how free these players are playing, there's definitely a lot of pressure on both of them right now. You have to imagine that they're going to be a little bit tenser, a little bit slower than usual, but this is what professional athletes train to do. Stay loose and cool during the toughest, most high-pressure moments. This time the luck comes back. Ying still probably has a few of those left in her, especially between the edge ball of last game and a few nets throughout. But this is table tennis karma, TTK. Back edge of the table, another one. Melek getting a break there. Ying still holding on to the lead, getting it back to 3 points. Again, she's adding a little bit of side spin on her chops here, mixing them up. In this rally, not so much. Everything's clean, and Melek reads it perfectly, counters the top spin for a winner. That ball just a little shallow on the table. If it's farther from the net, if it's closer to the baseline, Melek's going to have more pressure to make the shot, have to time it differently.
3-4.
Now remember, because this is game 7, when one player reaches 5 points, they will switch sides of the table to keep the balance. And finally, the timeout is being used after 3 points in a row are scored by Melek from down 1-4. Jeshep looks to be deep in thought, the coach. Let's see what the talk is on placement.
The
ställning 4-19 i nuvarande set väljer han Ying att ta ut sin timeout. Max 1 minut.
Now, if you really think back through the history of this match, how many points Ying has won and what she's won the most points doing, whether it's been forehand chops, side spin with her chop on the backhand side, or the forehand attacks. I feel like forehand chops, backhand darting chops, cross court out wide to the, I guess it'd be the backhand side here, so that cross court on the table, and the topspin shot from the forehand have been the most successful shots. How can she earn that? Can she change up her placement on serve? And she will. The top spin again, deep on the table. This time it's a straight up lob. And they're gonna switch sides. A very vocal response, a celebration to break the rhythm and ice the kicker on the other side. After 3 straight points in a row, Melek frozen at least temporarily as Ying gets her first point since 4-1.
5-4.
Now remember, this is their second encounter in their career on the World Tour, and Ying has never beaten Melek. It's always interesting to hear the different varieties of shouts that you hear from players. Sa is actually quite big in the US between former Ariel Singh, Lily Zhang occasionally.
Lat 4-6.
A few Japanese players do the same, Ai Fukuhara. Well placed right on the body, pressure to the middle. Again, while Ying's a little bit closer. Good time for Melek to take advantage. Smart combination, the soft spinny shot from Melek left short on the table. Forces Ying to take a ball uncomfortably down low. Look at this one more time. And it pops up for the big forehand smash. Again, it's easier said than done. But if you're able to spin it a little shorter on the table without leaving it too high for Ying to counter, that will commonly be the effect. The next ball is coming back high. Little break off the top of the net for Ying. I don't know if that's an apology or yeah, I still have a few left in the bank to cash in. Now in long games, there is the expedite rule. If there's 10 minutes of active play between the two players before 18 points have been scored, they go to expedite rule, which I'll explain more if it comes up, but the rallies haven't seemed long enough to reach that just yet. Once again, the point ending quickly. And if they were both attackers, I guess it would be a relatively long rally. But considering we've got a defender out there, Melek manages to take the point quickly, yet take her time between points and is warned to play.
9-7.
You can understand why the players want the time to think and strategize here. Just like anything else, the quicker your ability gets to make a decision on the fly, the more effective you will be in real time and even mid-point. maybe even especially midpoint. This is actually what table tennis players are best at, making decisions quickly, in addition to everything else physically that's happening out there. You really don't know exactly what's coming at you until it happens. Still a 1-point lead here for Han Ying on her second serve. Power, the pace, and deep to the backhand corner. Melek has tied it up at the third towel break. It will be another match determined by 2 points. Yesterday's Matthias Carlsen versus Jonathan Groth. A viral behind the back shot video is going around from the official ITTF Facebook page. It was an 11-9 in the 7th match as well.
Black.
This one's either going to be that or higher. Last 2 serves that either player will see in combination. Smart play and the power, the pressure, a racket toss from Han Ying. Match isn't even over. The frustration has been very easy to read though throughout. Jammed right in the middle. Now match point for Melek of Turkey. Inside out forehand does it, the step around, and all of the patience pays off. Several big shots at the end of this match. Melek was behind, and at the very last moment races ahead to cross the finish line before Germany's Han Ying and continue her flawless record. 2 matches to 0 over Han Ying. And so far in this tournament, Melek has not lost a match, much like in the European Championships, continuing the streak she will play later today in the women's singles final against Kasumi Ishikawa of Japan. Stick around because we've got the men's singles semifinal coming up. It's going to be hometown favorite Matthias Carlsen versus Dmitry Ovtcharov after this short break. You're watching the Swedish Open 2016.
Så vi har alltså semifinal nummer 1 i herrsingel att se fram emot. Tysklands Ovtcharov ställs mot Sveriges bästa Karlsson.